proceed with the conduct of these elections. Honorable members-elect, any further nominations? Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. I like to talk. You are not helping me with this. Chairman, I rise to move that
Chairman Clerk, the Honorable Dr. Ayeni was on his feet. And he was on his feet, elucidating information. Just tolerate him for 1 minute. Let's hear what information he requires from you in respect of the matter, because this record will be important in court. So allow us to hear Dr. Ayeni. You say due process. Hear Dr. Ayeni. He's been on his feet before leader will move his motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Hamza is a registrar.
Mr. Chairman, when I was on my feet the first time, I raised a fundamental issue of legal procedure, due process of law. And Mr. Chairman, I am aware that Parliament is a master of its own procedure. However, Parliament is subject to the law. And the law of this land is that a procedurally defective service is legally ineffectual, is null and void and of no effect. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, I ask a factual question in relation to proof of service. Can you show the proof of service to my leader? And then also, Mr. Clark, I am aware that the registrar of the Cape Coast High Court is one Mr. Hamza. He's not a bailiff. I have dealt with him in my court practice. The registrar is Mr. Hamza. He's not a bailiff. And therefore, if you are not properly served, that service is not out of order and of no effect.
That is unfair.
It should not.
Honorable Osachi Mensah, please, any more nominations?
What is it?
Stop what?
No, he has spoken. Let the clerk speak. Let the clerk speak.
Let him speak first. What are you talking about?
My own.
Hooligan. 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 Hey. The chairman, as far as this house is concerned, you as the chairman has made a determination on this. I will proceed from there. The chairman, I rise to propose that Professor Aaron Mike Okwei do take the chair of this house as the speaker. Chair, the Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwei the Speaker of the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic was born to Mr. E.G.N. Okwei of Osu, Accra, and he was a cocoa merchant. And also to Mrs. Felicia Awusiki Okwei, Nee Azu of Odumase Krobo, and the third of the 7 children on 4th April 1944. Professor Aaron Mike Okwei was brought up at Samakese in the eastern region of Ghana, where he attended the Catholic and Presbyterian basic schools before proceeding to Presbyterian Secondary School, Udumase Krobo, his O-level, and Apam Secondary School for his A-level. He studied further at the University of Ghana, University of London, and Lincoln in London. He holds a BA Honors, Political Science, LLB Honors, BL, and PhD degrees, respectively. Chairman, Professor Aaron Michael Okwei's working life has been a combination of private legal practice, lecturing, active politics on the marginalized in society, and pastoral care. Speaker Okwei is a barrister of the Supreme Court of England and Wales and a senior member of the Ghana Bar. As an academic, he achieved the singular distinction of winning within 4 years the coveted international award is considered the highest award in academia. He was a visiting scholar in connection with these awards in London and Virginia, George Mason, United States of America. He was the head of Department of Political Science at the University of Ghana, Legon, from October 1999 to January 2002, and also the Vice President of the Africa Association of Political Science from 1997 to 1999. He has researched and written extensively on good governance, conflicts, political education, decentralization, human rights, military intervention in politics, non-governmental organizations, rural development,
parliamentary democracy, and gender. He is a keen advocate of the rights of women, including affirmative action. He's one man who has regularly featured in conferences on gender in this country and abroad. His books and articles have been published in England, Canada, United States of America, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Ghana. His rich experience in African politics has been tapped by many institutions in Ghana and abroad. Professor Michael Quaye is an accomplished diplomat, legislator, politician, among others. Chairman, on the diplomatic landscape, he served as Ghana's High Commissioner to India between 2002 and 2004. As a politician and legislator, he served as the Member of Parliament for Domekwa constituency from 2005 to 2013 January. He was the Minister of Energy 2005-2006, Minister of Communications 2006-2007, and the second Deputy Speaker of the 5th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana between 2009 and 2013. His tenure as Ghana's High Commissioner to India recorded unrivaled achievements, which include the Ghana Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in Information Technology, a showpiece in Africa, the Ghana Presidential Palace and Office Complex, tractors and concession returns to revamp agriculture, and $102 million facility to Ghana, which had 48% grant element, 25 years of repayment period, 5 years moratorium, and 0.5% interest rate per annum. He served as Minister of Energy, as I said, and presided over the deregulation exercise, expansion and maximum application of the Tema oil refinery, unprecedented petroleum exploration, and actually negotiated and signed an agreement between Tullow Oil, which led to the first discovery of oil in Ghana, a recapitalization of the Water River Authority and Electricity Company of Ghana. Identified steps intensified to resolve same. Chairman, he also presided over the amendment of the VRA Act, the commissioning of the West African Gas Pipeline by President Kufuor, the signing of the Bui Dam Memorandum of Understanding with Sino-Hydro Corporation of China in September 2005. As Minister of Communication, Ghana and China signed a $30 million agreement for the National Backbone Project. The World Bank gave Ghana a $40 million concession facility. After all, the relevant benchmarks had been satisfied in record time. The Ghana Society for the Blind was provided with Braille computer system with the help of the government of India. He was in charge of the initial steps for the divestiture of Westel and Ghana Telecom. Ghana attained record tele-density and rural telephony targets with Chinese assistance. As a parliamentarian, he took keen interest in legislation and made meticulous endeavor in detecting minute slips. He made brilliant statements and various comments and contributions, which were rich in depth. He served on the Committee on Members Holding Office of Profit, Standing Orders Committee, the Committee on Defense and Interior, Committee on Local Government, and the Committee on Communication. The second Deputy Speaker, his evenness and equanimity pleased both sides of the House whenever he presided. Having risen through the ranks to become the Speaker of Parliament for the 7th Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay's aura attracted many distinguished personalities to Ghana and to Parliament House, including the august visit of the first ever sitting Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Speaker Nancy Patricia Pelosi, who was also granted audience to address the House, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Excellency Mia Motley, who also addressed the House, the Speaker of the House of Representatives Nigeria, Right Honorable Femi Baja Bia Miller, and the Speaker of Uganda, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, who also visited on the Speaker's invitation and gave a very brilliant lecture on affirmative action and women's participation in politics. As a legislator himself, Right Honorable Professor Okwe's passion for affirmative action led him to initiate measures to advocate for women and children, inclusion, people with special needs, and gender equality. He has also shown interest in the welfare of the marginalized in society, including various donations to persons with disabilities, and sought to release of a pregnant woman from the Islam female prisons. Mr. Chairman, the Speaker's passion, together with the assistance of leadership of the House, have led to the rapid passing of bills, albeit in a very meticulous fashion. A number of these attracted considerable public interest. The swift pace at which the number of sittings, question time, statements on the floor, and legislations have been heightened under the 7th Parliament led by Professor Okwe is progressively unparalleled. During his tenure, Speaker Okwe presided over 600 plenary sittings and accepted over 3,214 papers, including bills, reports from committees of the House and ministries, departments, and other agencies, waivers, resolutions, conventions, and loan agreements, among others. Speaker Okwe presided over the review of the standing orders to reflect the needs of the House, and it's unfortunate that the House could not adopt the review standing orders before the House came to be prorogued midnight of the 6th of January. Professor Michael Okwe was also the first to have introduced sign language interpretation in Parliament for very obvious benefits of our disabled brothers and sisters. On the 18th of December 2020, the House passed the first ever private members' bill. And these two bills were under the supervision of Professor Michael Aaron Okwe. Mr. Chairman, Parliament has steadily seen various extension works championed by Professor Okwe under the Physical Infrastructure Enhancement Project, which include the Job 600 annex to accommodate offices for all other members of Parliament who hitherto had no offices, Visitors Waiting Center, Drivers Waiting Center, and the Chamber Support Services block. He also spearheaded the facelift of the existing parliamentary chamber. As an academic, Professor Michael Okwe took keen interest in revamping the Parliamentary Training Institute. There are many things that he has done to improve institutional structures in the system and human capital and talent development as well. He's also done a lot to promote staff welfare, and the measures that he has superintended over, the Chairman, are unprecedented in the annals of Ghana's parliament, notably the 7th Parliament. He has also shown keen interest in building a knowledge hub for Parliament as an institution. The ingenuity of Right Honorable Speaker Okwe has provided members of Parliament and staff opportunities to participate in several sub-regional and international learning experiences. He ensured that the rich experiences and learning outcomes are documented and bound for historical references. It is noteworthy that under the leadership of Professor Aaron Michael Okwe, the following books have been published for the first time: The Rulings of the Speaker, Statements on the Floor, Private Members' Bills in Ghana, a guide, addresses by the Speaker and leaders of this House. Mr. Chairman, Professor Michael Okwe employed his diplomatic skills to resolve many conflicts, petitions, and issues brought before him. He would be remembered for resolving international trade issues between Ghana and Nigeria in September 2020, and several ambassadors and international partners have called on Speaker Okoye with regards to pertinent global issues. He is a founding member and a key spokesperson in advocating for Africa's debt cancellation to alleviate the unprecedented socio-economic pressures caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Chairman, the Speaker Okoye, through his personal relationship with the Serbian government, acquired scholarships for 10 Ghanaian students. Through him, many students in Ghana have successfully completed their educational pursuits as he paid for their tuition fees. Mr. Chairman, Speaker Okoye also took upon himself to acquire invaluable assets for Parliament, including the Marine Drive Tourism Enclave and the Aviation Hub at Denton, which spans 20 acres. Finally, Professor Okoye was elected the head boy of PUSEC during the 80th anniversary of the school. An accompanying citation recognized his various contributions to the school and his pedigree attained nationally and internationally in politics, laws, and development. Professor Aaron Michael Okoye is married to Major Retired Mrs. Alberta Boatima Okoye, and they are blessed with children. His hobbies include playing soccer, table tennis, reading, writing, and music. Mr. Chairman, it is this person that I commend to all of us, Chairman, that this House, that he takes the chair of this House as Speaker. The Chairman, appropriately, I do so move. Thank you very much.
Clerk.
Any
Point of order. Point of order. Sit down. You did the same thing. Sit down. Clerk, my microphone is live. He did the same thing.
Yes, okay. I second. Mr. Chair.
No, you cannot speak. You cannot speak. I am up on a point of order also.
Mr.
You will
Chair.
not be able to speak here because I'm
rise
also
to
up on
defend
a
the
point of
motion.
order. The way you rose to arrest my speaker is the same way I am rising to arrest him. I am rising on a point of order. Mr. Clerk, I am rising on a point of order. I am challenging you that the person who gave you the rate, that you are the order, is the deputy registrar who stands. He is not a bailiff. And we are rising on a point of order. You must respect my leader.
Mr. Chair.
No, he cannot proceed. He must speak.
Are you a leader?
He must speak. Respect our leader. Second the motion.
Mr. Chair.
I want to optimize I said earlier. I second the motion.
I rise to second the motion, ably moved by Honorable Oseche Mensah. I stood up for 10 minutes.
You people, what do you say? Do you believe in this?
Chairman Clerk, just for the record, I want you to lay transparently the service and processes that were served on you on the table with evidence of the bailiff and hour and time of which he signed to serve you. Lay it for our purposes as is required of law before we proceed further. We want proof of service late, but I'd like to inspect it to satisfy myself and to find out from you, Chairman Clerk, whether when you receive service, you actually communicated same to the MP-elect as is required by law. What time you serve? So lay the proof of service and let us know whether when you receive service, because my colleagues that are senior lawyers in the Jerigoji versus Issa 1989, the clerk is not the attorney or lawyer for the MP-elect, and therefore you must establish further whether you serve the MP-elect those processes. So kindly lay it before the table, the proof of service, with evidence of the bailiff who served it. And then whether you have the power you are exercising, the question is whether clerk can take the ruling.
Mr. Chair, respectfully, the invitation by Honorable is well grounded. Suffice to state for the records that the MP-elect, for the records, was in court. At the time the order was read, he was in court with his own lawyers, and the court records would bear. And as a Ghanaian, it is my duty to inform this House on such facts, so that, Mr. Chair, we all be at peace that perhaps the invitation on you is even superfluous, because the MP-elect himself was present in court when his matter was argued. His lawyers were there. When his case, the ruling was made against him, he was in court, at least for the records.
Mr. Chairman.
I will lay the document for the information of the House. The document was served on the clerk to Parliament for my action. So it wasn't served for the purposes of me serving the member.
Personal service. We are talking about personal service. We are talking about injunction. An injunction to the House of Chair. An injunction to the House of Chair. You are to the House of Chair. Personally. You are to the House of Chair. Election today.
You are a disgrace.
Cyril is a tool in the House of Chair.
So we are watching this unfold on the floor of Parliament, and what we're seeing, if you're joining us and you're listening to us on Joy 99.7 FM, is the leadership on the minority side are now inspecting the documents on the floor right now.
Please, Chairman, please, you should call for order.
What we are are seeing right now is the minority leader, well, Harun Idrisu, who leads the minority side, with a team of his senior members on the minority side, on the NDC side, are inspecting the document. Now I see a police officer, Freeman Tete, who are now stepped in to try and calm the nerves. Heated exchanges now beginning to ensue on the floor right now, and I see that there are some members of parliament trying to separate the others. There are wild gesticulations right in the faces of other members of parliament. It appears that the gesticulations is directed at the clerk of parliament. Obviously, the police representative who heads the Parliament Police Station and is trying to calm nerves. I see several of the NDC MPs who are aggressively attempting to stop the process from proceeding. This is really fascinating unfolding on the floor of Parliament right now. Now, what is this all about?
Can Parliament be used to perpetrate fraud on the people of Ghana? How can we use Parliament to perpetrate fraud?
Fraud! It's fraud!
How can we use Parliament to perpetrate fraud? This is our...
Elected member of Parliament for Medina, who has been speaking into the microphone. As we see this unfold on the floor now. It appears some calm is gradually beginning. I see the marshals now. The marshals are lined up they are protecting the clerks and the officers of parliament from the rest of the house. They formed almost like a barricade of a sort between themselves. You can see that on your screens right now if you're watching us on Joy Night tonight. If you're watching us on the JoyNews channel, what you see in your car on the shot right now are the marshals who are attempting to shield and protect the clerk of parliament and his other agents from being attacked by the very upset and angry NDC members of parliament right now. I see that the marshals, by the way, they are in charge of parliamentary security, the security of the entire precinct of parliament and the members of parliament themselves. As we see now, some semblance of calm has returned, but we still have Harun Idrisu, who is standing right in the middle, still inspecting the documents. Now, these documents are the documents containing the ruling of the High Court, bordering on whether or not the MP-elect for Asin North can hold himself as a member of parliament-elect. In fact, the court had ruled earlier today that he cannot hold himself out as a member of parliament-elect because of the challenge to his ability to his qualification as a member of parliament relating to dual citizenship. The argument, the allegation against him, which is still a matter of a court inquiry or hearing, is that he, at the time of filing, was both a citizen of Canada and of Ghana, which is going to court today. The court had granted an injunction against him from holding himself out as a member of parliament. That document, the court orders, the court also specified that the clerk of parliament be served, so the clerk can enforce the court order to prevent him from being sworn in and participate in the business of parliament, as we are seeing right now, which we understand has happened. The clerk has announced now, we know now, that indeed has received that notification from the court and has said that as a result of the court order, he cannot recognize Mr. Kwesing, who is the MP-elect for Asin North, as an MP-elect. And as a result, has sparked the controversy that we are seeing unfold on the floor currently. What we are seeing is several members of the NDC.
Question for him, man, should enter here again and see what will happen to him. This is the Chamber of Parliament. Nonsense. Hey.
seeing on our television now, right now, are some of the members of parliament now engaged in a heated exchange with some of the marshals. Their marshals are the security agents who are charged with protecting the house. Now, what I'm seeing in my short now is that the clerk of parliament now has a personal protection. One of the lead marshals had moved now to stand behind him to guard him because of all that is beginning to unfold right now. I see other members of parliament are attempting now to try and calm the NDC members who are standing. Nothing seems to be happening right now. Winston, this is really, we knew something was going to happen, but obviously it's gone out of hand right now.
As Evans, and look, I've been watching the whole drama unfold, and I think that there are better ways to dealing with this than the approach that's been taken by the minority. Okay, now, if you have concerns, the clerk has actually read the writ that was signed to him. He shows you the writ. No, he shows you the ruling of the Cape Coast High Court. Once he shows you the ruling of the Cape Coast High Court, if you have any concerns about the ruling as presented to him and as to who might have served him and whether he's being used by the executive, you don't resort to this kind of calling him names that you have to get the police to come into the Chamber of Parliament to calm tempest down. Look, these are persons who have been elected to serve our interests. And for me, that's what saddens me. They're talking, and I mean, earlier this evening, last night, we were talking about the U.S. situation, and I made the point clearly that I didn't want us to go that way. Because if we are the beacon of Africa's democracy, this is not what to expect. I think it's unnecessary. There are better ways to dealing with this than has been done. And if they have any concerns, it started nicely, okay? It started nicely by exchanges. And then it gets into the absurdity. I think that our members of parliament... I
mean, to think that we now see a situation where marshals, security operatives have to surround the clerk of parliament and protect him from members of parliament elect. It's bad. It's terrible.
Look, and you're hearing comments about, I mean, if you don't protect our democracy, you won't have jobs. That is also uncalled for. Yes, it's important we protect our democracy, and everybody should protect our democracy. But hey, what we are faced with now, all of us and all of them there can ensure that our democracy works. In fact, what they are doing is what is affecting our democracy.
Placing our entire democracy in jeopardy. As we see,
what you claim to do, remember, you are not clothed with the authority to do what you are trying to do. Because what you are trying to do is indirectly serving the member in the chamber. If the member is aware that there's a court injunction against him and he decides to come here to be sworn in, it is a matter for him and the court, but it is not for you, because you as a chair, your duty is to tailor us through the election, but you are not clothed with the authority to tell us or to serve a member in the chamber. So please be mindful that you yourself, as chair, you are involving yourself in an illegality. You are involving yourself in an illegality. You are not clothed with the power or the authority to do what you are doing. So please, yours is to draw the attention of the House, but you cannot restrain the member because the member has not been served. And if the member, like someone is claiming was in court, the member was not in court. And if the member is aware and he claims he's not aware, it is a matter for him and the court. And the court can find him contempt and charge him whatever. But it is not for you to try to serve him in the chamber. So the steps you are taking, Mr. Clerk, Chairman, you are absolutely wrong. You are absolutely wrong. That is not none of your business at all.
Well, That was Muntaka Mubarak, who was the minority chief whip in the 7th Parliament. In this current Parliament, he is, I can say, going to be maintained as a whip on the NDC side, speaking there, accusing the clerk to Parliament of perpetrating an illegality. The arguments are beginning, but there is some semblance of calm now. And what we see is that the clerk itself is a lot of people have surrounded him still. People talking to him still on this. Where are we? Where we are was at the point where Chairman Sabonsu had also gotten up to propose Professor Michael Quay as a candidate for next Speaker of Parliament. He had read out Michael Quay's credentials and had been seconded. Now, this also followed when the NDC side also put forward their own candidate. This is Alban Bagbin. Now, what the rules say, in the standing orders say, is that once he has done it, both men names had come forward and had been seconded, they had to move straight into secret balloting for these two individuals. But what has held this up, and Winston, I just checked my time, we are almost 2 hours into the life of the 8th Parliament, and they haven't even begun the first order of the first business with the Constitution prescribed to be the voting. As we see now, there's no clear view of what to do next. But the clerk has been categorical that he will not and cannot recognize the member of parliament elect for Asin North. Yeah.
Chairman, I have already seconded the motion by Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu. Yes, so suffice to reiterate that an earlier submission by Honorable Harune Drusu, which invitation made a demand on you to provide a proof of service. That proof of service is always in the bosom of the bailiff. So, Mr. Chair, just for the records, so that we are all satisfied, that you as a recipient of a court process cannot have the proof of service. It is held by the bailiff, which is in her administrative records. That is the law. That is the law. Sit down.
Chairman Clerk, we have to respond. We have to respond to that national duty that there is no interregnum in the governance leadership of the country Ghana. Therefore, this event is also time-bound. Chair Clerk, it is my contention and submission that the Honorable James Jache Kwesen was not in court, and you yourself have admitted that you did not serve him the process. Under the circumstances, let him err on the side of law and bear the consequence in court. So let him take the oath, because he's not been served any process. He will appear before court. For the merits of the matter to be determined. Because, Chairman Clerk, I'm not sure you are clothed even with the powers of the ruling that you made as Clerk Chairman. Nowhere in our standing orders and in the Constitution. But allow him, since you yourself admit that you didn't serve him process, and it is not true that he was in court, we know how he got here. He's not been served. So let him err on the side of caution. He will go to court and submit himself when the court so needs him. Leader, I so submit so that we make progress.
That's all.
That's good point.
Clerk Chairman,
this House cannot condone an illegality. There is
even Amehu is here.
Judgment.
Even Amehu is here.
A judgment
Amehu
from a court of competent jurisdiction.
Even Amehu beat up a baby.
This parliament knows about it. You
sit down. You are an illegality yourself. Sit down.
You'll be complicit if you give a ballot to him because he's not supposed to hold himself as an MP.
We will not vote. That will not vote. We will vote today.
Mr. Chair.
You are boring. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. You are boring. Sit down.
Yes, you mentioned Amehu. Amehu had an injunction. Until a court of competent jurisdiction revoked, quashes it as by the Supreme Court or on appeal is a binding order of the court. And please, we who pass law here cannot lead to that. He came here, that's his matter, but this House cannot be part of an illegality. He is not supposed to hold himself up, and therefore, please go out. 137, 136.
Move out, please. Go out. Go out.
Go out. Go out.
Honorable Aaron, I agree with you. Do you have the consent of the honorable?
Thank you very much.
Do you have the
Thank you very much,
Mr.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Clerk.
The consent of your
Mr. Chairman.
Please lay it on the table.
Mr. Chairman.
Please lay it.
We are all arguing and acting on the assumption that there is a parliament. Mr. Chairman, as we speak, if you read Article 93 of our Constitution, we still don't have a parliament. We still don't have a parliament. Mr. Speaker, we have a gathering of MPs elect and a clerk of parliament with a very, very limited assignment. The assignment of overseeing the election of a speaker.
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, the processes, the privileges, the immunities that members of parliament enjoy are the issues that are being debated here. But we are not yet members of parliament. We are not yet members of parliament. And therefore, your powers in relation to service of processes do not arise yet. They do not arise. And the injunction does not relate to you as a clerk. The injunction relates to a particular person. It is for the bailiffs to find that person and serve that person.
I love you.
It is for the bailiff to find that person and serve that person. Because he is not yet a member of parliament. He is not yet. And so you have no jurisdiction over him. Assuming, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Chairman, that seated here, we are even to be presumed to be members of parliament. Your conduct amounts to attempting to serve a member of parliament whilst he is in parliament. Assuming that we are even to be presented as members of parliament, your conduct amounts to attempting to serve a member of parliament whilst he is in parliament. And the effect of that, Mr. Clerk, is clearly unconstitutional. So the proper thing to do is to allow him to participate in the proceedings and later on deal with the consequences of the matter as is being advocated by the incoming majority leader of this House. So I urge you, Mr. Clerk, Chairman, that you allow the Honorable elected MP
to participate in the proceedings, and your limited job of allowing us to elect a speaker, let that happen. Afterwards, we then get sworn in by the speaker. We then become members of parliament, and within the context of being members of parliament, service on us can be sent through you. But as it is now, we are not members of parliament. If we have an issue with the court, let the court find us individually and serve us.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ayine, the former Deputy Attorney General, was the one person that made reference to Article 117 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, it was Honorable Ayine who introduced Article 117 of the Constitution in this argument. And his argument was that service could be served on a member of parliament, one. Service could be served on the clerk of parliament. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, in this argument that is on the floor of parliament, Mr. Speaker, on this argument that is on the floor of parliament, if you listen to the argument just raised by Honorable Ayariga, it is in contravention of Article 117. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, they are asking you as a clerk to this House, when there has not been any speaker or the House being properly constituted, to give them proof of service on the matter. Mr. Speaker, proof of service on the matter does not lie in you. It is the court that has that proof of service. Mr. Chairman, you have been served as the clerk to Parliament, and you have brought in your evidence here as your evidence of being served. The onus per our law is not on you to give proof of service. And there is an order of a high court, a court of competent jurisdiction. And the honorable member, during the arguments or debates on the floor, confidently rose to show himself in defiance of the court's ruling that he should not hold himself as an MP-elect. Mr. Chair, and that is in direct contravention of the Constitution and the rules of this House. And it's actually contempt of the courts. So, Mr. Chairman, I strongly believe that your evidence that you brought here is good enough. The member of member of parliament elect who is not supposed to hold himself as such should bow his head down in shame and walk out of this chamber honorably, because he is in contempt of the court and in contempt of this House. Mr. Chair, I think that your earlier ruling, you have ruled on this matter, and your earlier ruling stands. If they want to come and challenge it, the rules are clear. Come by a substantive motion. I rest my case, Mr. Chair.
Shame!
Nobody's going to be called in this House again, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clark, let's get on with the voting. Let's go. What are we still here? We're debating and making all the noise in the world. Let's get on with it, for Christ's sake, Mr. Clark. You are the clerk. Please take the handle of this matter and let's get on with it. Stole my debate.
Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. Oh, Chairman. Hey, I have something to say. How can you let Ayarja's case go. Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead and see.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Why did Kate come for him?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, why?
Roasting.
Goes off. Go and tell the wife. Honorable members elect, are there any other nominations? I then proceed. Honorable members elect, Article 104(4) of the Constitution provides that where, and I quote, where Parliament is considering a bill to amend the Constitution, or where the voting is in relation to the election or removal of any person under this Constitution or under any other law, voting shall be in secret. There being more than one nomination, I am enjoined under Article 104(4) of the Constitution, as well as Orders 9.1 and 110 of the Standing Orders, to proceed to conduct the election by secret ballot. Honorable members elect shall be called in alphabetical order to proceed to the dispatch box, to be given ballot papers, to record their vote by writing the name of the person or by ticking the name of the person for whom they intend to vote. Honorable members elect, kindly note that you can only vote for a person who has been duly nominated and seconded. May I also inform you that this is a secret ballot, and therefore you are required to fold your ballot paper so that the name written on it is not seen by any other person when casting your vote. Thank you. I now invite the ballot boxes and the booth to be brought.
So you're live still here on Joy 99.7 FM. You're also live on the JoyNews channel. You are live with us on Facebook, on the JoyNews channel on Facebook. You're live also on YouTube, myjoyonline.com. What we are seeing now is the voting booths have now been set up. After the chaos surrounding whether or not the MP-elect for Asin North can be allowed to participate in the proceedings, the process is moving on now. The clerk has made it clear that because of the court order served on him, he cannot allow him to participate. And so we are waiting to see when it gets to his turn, whether he will be called. Now, the process that is about to unfold, if you're watching us on TV and listening to us on radio especially, what we see now is that the voting booths are now being set up right behind the speaker's chair, beside it, and the officers to Parliament are now positioning these voting booths. I see that an officer of Parliament has raised a transparent box, showing it to the entire House to ensure, for them to verify that it's actually empty, has now been placed in front of the main bench where the clerk is seated, and the voting booths are now ready. In fact, the transparent box is also being sealed now, and is ready to receive the votes, the ballots. Now, we know this is going to be by secret ballot, and so we expect that each member of Parliament will have his name read out. He will take a paper, he will write on the paper the name of the candidate he's going to vote for, his nominee is going to vote for, which is going to be two, either Professor Michael Quay or is going to be Alban Sumani Babe. Now, the booths have been set up, and the process is about to begin. Winston.
Exactly. And so the clerk would be calling the MPs, as is indicated, in alphabetical order. What remains to be seen, Evans? The clerk decided to continue and would wait to see if the Member of Parliament for Aston North gets called or not. But from the indication he gave, it looks like he wasn't going to call him. And it's also important to note what the reaction of the NDC would be. And I say NDC because there's been this whole back and forth about who becomes majority in Parliament, or who has the right to say that he's the majority in Parliament. Now, there's a bit of a departure from the 2005 situation. I'm still waiting to see if the whips would find themselves very close to the voting booth and thus be checking how the members of Parliament vote. Mind you, we have the general secretaries of the two main parties, that's the NPP and NDC, who have representation in this Parliament, 137 members each, all in the precincts of Parliament, and we'll be finding out what their own actions would be even as the voting begins. But I'll be monitoring to find out how close the whips would be, to the ballot box and the voting booth, just by way of finding out if they want to be checking how their members vote. And
I see this small meeting of several MPs happening around where the clerk is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of them have gathered, or a closer shot will tell us who is there. But there's some conversation happening right now as the voting booths are being set up, and the ballot box itself has now been also prepped up for the voting to happen. But yeah, one of the key things we want to watch is it's important, Winston, that you brought that thing up. The fact that first the names will be called, right? And also to show whether or not, and something that the clerk emphasized, that this is by secret ballot.
Yeah.
So if it's secret ballot, it's secret. Nobody. In fact, I was reading the standing order. The standing order actually prescribes how the ballot should be folded. It actually prescribes that the ballot should be folded in the manner in which nobody is able to see how you are voting.
Right.
So it doesn't just say cast your ballot. It doesn't say secret alone. It actually prescribes how you fold it. So you must fold it in a manner in which nobody sees whose name you've written. How you enforce that, for me, is the big question.
Well,
how you enforce that is a big question.
And talking about enforcement, happenings over the last few days and weeks would have shown that a lot of things are possible in our republic, aren't they, Evans? Lots of things are possible in our republic. So we saw it in 2005. Let's see what happens this time around, whether we'll have a similar situation. Because apart from 2005, when we had two persons, contesting to be elected as Speaker of Parliament, we haven't had that situation again. And so, yes, the clerk was very clear when he indicated that it's by secret balloting, and so nobody should see how you vote. But the question is, can the clerk enforce that particular law? Can the clerk enforce that standing order? And so members would vote in a secret manner. If members vote in a secret manner, then you ask yourself the question, Is there a surprise, or would there be a surprise in all of this? We know it's 138, 137, 136, based on the decision on the Asin North Member of Parliament. We've told you the dynamics there are in this election. Would all NPP members, including the independent candidates, support Professor Michael Quay? Would all NDC members support Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman? You've heard those who have made the point that, for those who belong to particularly the other side of the NDC, which Mr. Bagman has been critical of, they may just vote against. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, Elton, this is an interesting point. I just pulled up the standing order. The standing order actually prescribes the procedure for voting. It doesn't say the name of the MP must be called. What it says is, when nominations have been received, the clerk shall announce that the ballot will now be taken. And unless a member rises to speak, no fresh nominations shall be taken. Do we pass that state now? An officer of parliament shall give to each member present a ballot paper on which the member may record his vote by writing the name of the person for whom he wishes to vote. So what we expect to happen is that the officer of parliament shall give to each member present a ballot paper.
Yeah. Indeed.
Now, key question. Mr. Kwesi of Asin North, he's present.
Yeah.
He hasn't been removed from his seat.
Yeah.
He hasn't been. The standing order says, shall give to each member present.
But remember that when the clerk read the communication from the court, in his ruling he said that he does not recognize the presence of the MP elect. Now, the names will be called by the clerk. Usually they do it in order of, alphabetical arrangement. So I want to believe that he will not call the member of parliament elect for Asin North.
Asin, as per the procedure,
exactly.
He will not give a ballot paper to him. Meaning
that he will not be called to come and vote. So basically, that's how it's going to play out, because he says he won't recognize him, and meaning that when the roll starts to be called, I don't see him calling him to come and vote. That is how I understand this procedure.
Now, what does each member present mean?
Yeah,
it's what we need to find now. So does each member present mean that anybody who is in the chamber or anybody that the clerk deems to be qualified to vote? And that's one of the things I would want an understanding too. So if we have that clarity, for instance, then we know that, okay, so you could be in the house and still not be recognized by the clerk. And so what that would mean is that you are not present. But if I also look at it from another point of view, I'm saying to myself, well, once I am in the house and haven't been asked to leave, then I qualify to be able to cast my vote. So let's look at it in two ways. Can the clerk say, well, member of parliament for Asin North elect, pending the determination of your case as the court has ruled, please leave the chamber? And as a result, we would say you are not present. Because, Elton, you've been a parliamentary correspondent. When members show up in the chamber and in the votes and proceedings, members present, they are captured as present.
Of course.
Yeah. So in that same, well, he's not a member yet.
He's not a member yet.
Not a member, it's a member elect. But once he shows up in the chamber, having gone through registration and still in the chamber, can he be considered as present as what would have been the case if he were a member of parliament?
Here's the thing though, and I think I side with what Elton has said. Per the procedure, for me, based on what he had said, that he will recognize him. It's all clear that when his officers, because we know that the parliamentary officers are now acting on his behalf, when the officers are distributing
the ballot
paper, right, they would skip him.
Yeah, he will not be called.
He will not be called. He will not be giving a ballot paper to cast his ballot. I presume that's what may happen. But there was another school of thought that said that they would have expected that he would be asked to leave the chamber.
Exactly, that should have been the case. Once the ruling was done, the next step would have been for the clerk to direct that because of the court communication and subsequent to his ruling, the member-elect should leave the chamber. But because of the skirmishes that we have experienced, it doesn't appear to me that the member is still on the floor.
I actually don't think that it's in the interest of parliamentary peace and security tonight.
Yeah.
To actually attempt to move.
If you do not respect the orders of the clerk, the next stage will be for the clerk to direct the marshal to get you out of the chamber of parliament forcefully. And that is what I'm expecting to be done. But in terms of how the election is going to go, clearly the member will not be called, the member-elect will not be called, and once he's not called, you cannot vote. The voting itself has yet to start. We don't know what is stopping them from going ahead with this very important exercise. But as far as the member is concerned, he will not be called, he will not be given a ballot, and for that reason, he will not have the opportunity to take part in this voting process.
Yeah, what we are seeing now is that I see Muntaka Mubarak in a conversation with the clerk and his assistants right now. Nobody knows what that conversation is about, but the stage is set, Elting.
Yeah.
Because the voting booths, there are two of them.
Everything.
The two of them have been set, the ballot box is set, and yet the voting hasn't started. What the next thing we need to see should be the officers going around and giving and presenting the papers to the MPs.
Yeah, usually they call you, and then once they call you, you move to the clerk's table, and then you are given the ballot.
And you give the ballot.
Either you write the name or you tick against the name of your preferred candidate, and then you drop it in a ballot box. Once that is done, then they move to sorting and counting. But now, they are not even calling them to come out and vote. I think the process can only start if they start calling them to come and pick the ballot paper.
Yeah.
If you are called and you don't honor that call, then you lose the opportunity to take part in this. And I think that perhaps the clerk is not showing a lot of, power in the powers invested in him in terms of giving directives and enforcing them. And even though he's giving his ruling as far as the legitimacy of this member of parliament elect is concerned, he's still entertaining comments from both sides, and that's what appears to be stalling the entire process.
And Elting, let's point out that the clerk of parliament at this moment has constitutionally invested powers.
Right.
And the power that he has, as specified by the Constitution, is to supervise, sit in a chair, and supervise the process of electing a speaker. Only he can do that.
Right.
And so that power is vested in him. And as we see now, we don't know what is stalling the process.
Yeah, we don't know.
But he has the power to order the process to proceed. Once the nominations have been done and both seconded, and nobody else rises to make any other, put forward any other name, he should go forward. Now, we have the stage set.
And I'm seeing some movement of the
a lot of movement, yes.
NDC MPs. I don't know whether they are staging a walkout, or because I just saw the minority leader is heading towards the division room, and I see Muntaka Mubarak, a member of the Atuforsen, and the rest also appears to be following him out of the chamber. But once the process starts, the thing is that if you are called and you don't honor the call, you lose that opportunity. Yeah. Unfortunately, the clerk has asked that members should come and pick the ballot, but he's not calling names.
Yeah, we don't know what is holding up the process now. Just that all we can tell you, if you're watching us on TV, you see this for yourselves, but if you are listening to us, all we can tell you is we see the leadership of both sides now in a very heated conversation with the clerk and others, and the people are gesticulating. It almost, I don't know, I wonder whether it's a conversation about where to position the booths, or because I see a lot of pointing of fingers at the positioning of the booths. And here again, I see the Interior Minister have also approached, has gone to add to the numbers there who are have in this exchange with the clerk. Winston.
Exactly, and for many of us, we're waiting for the processes to start. And I mean, like you're asking, I see them pointing at the booth.
Exactly.
So it's but that place has always been a preferred location. Indeed, the last time I witnessed such an exercise, members had concerns with the fact that the media center, which is overlooking where the booth is. If you're a media person, you are standing there, you can easily tell the direction the person will vote. So they had concerns with that. So what they did was that they told the media to move out of the media gallery and allow the process to continue. But where the thing is cited, that's always been the place. Unless they are concerned
exactly, but I mean,
the location of the booth.
You would remember that in 2005, while they were voting, you saw the leadership of both sides very close. You understand, and of course they were monitoring the process.
Even now, that's what I'm told, that the whips, they have a responsibility to ensure that they check the ballot before it is dropped into the box. I don't know how they are going to do this.
That's the point, you know, and that's why I started by saying that a lot of things are possible in our country, aren't they? Because you find sadly, but you see, you find the situation where there's supposed to be a secret voting. Nobody is supposed to see how you vote. But hey, hold on a minute.
So as you can see, they are clearing where the media stand is.
Yes.
I'm sure the reason is that they think that the media people can tell which way it will go when the voting starts. So that's how come they are clearing the media gallery of the media personnel. So I'm sure that we are getting closer to where the voting itself will start.
Okay. So clearly that was the issue that was holding up the voting. The fear that journalists in the press gallery
can easily see
who you are voting for, and so if you're watching us on TV, you see that the press gallery, which is right opposite us, right opposite you, and behind where the clerk is seated, is being cleared now of all the pressmen who are there. And any moment from now, the process will start. Now here's the thing, though. It's almost 2:30 a.m.
Yeah,
fatigue is setting in. I'm feeling it.
So am I.
Of course. I mean, we've been here since 9 p.m. and we are now about to begin the first order of business. Right? And remember, we have to do this 3 times.
That is, if the minority, no, not minority. Now we don't know the minority majority. Let me just err on the side of caution. That's if both sides decide to present a candidate for the first deputy speaker and second deputy speaker. You've heard the NPP side say that even though the NDC is presenting a candidate for the speaker, there's been lots of discussions, and some of them are saying, I mean, for the sake of consensus and allowing, the spirit of the Constitution to continue, let us not present a candidate. Others say, let's present the former MP as a second deputy speaker, because Joe Osei-Usu will be, nominated for first deputy speaker. Right. If the NDC doesn't present a candidate for first deputy speaker, it does not look like the NPP would want to present a candidate for second deputy speaker. What that would mean is that the remaining elections would be procedural, just and then we move on, and then we go. What will be left then would be the swearing in of the president, which is dependent on when we're able to elect a speaker. But if the NDC presents a candidate for first deputy speaker, then we're going to have 3 elections.
Yeah, I mean, and with what we've seen, there's every possibility of that happening.
Because we've got a confirmation from John Boadu when we spoke to him that they have selected Joe Osei-Usu as their first deputy speaker of parliament. And if, his reference was even to the fact that if the NDC should present somebody for such speakership, then the only option that will be available to them is to go in for the former MP as the second deputy speaker of parliament. But looking at the entrenched position they've taken, even relating to a court decision or a court order, nothing is impossible now.
Yeah, I mean, and from the NDC side, I understand they also had met in caucus and put forward Dominic Ayine
as the first deputy
speaker to rival Joe Osei-Usu. I mean, again, if that's the case, we're going to have another vote.
Exactly.
And this whole thing will play out again. I mean, we are nowhere near.
But one of the things
we had planned that this will end at 3 p.m.
Well, we had, but here we are. Evans,
started.
The situation is this, Evans, and based on my reading of the Constitution and discussions with lawyers, what the Constitution sought to do, what our law sought to do when it said that when it comes to deputy speakers, the deputy speakers shall not be elected from the same political party, was to ensure the situation where political parties in Parliament had deputy speakers. And that was all to ensure consensus building and a thriving democracy. Now, based on that understanding, yes, it is true that the former MP is an independent member of Parliament. He's been sacked by the NPP, and so he's not a member of the NPP. However, now that he's decided to do business with the NPP side, if he's elected, which he can, he can, because we've seen it happening in the Freddie Blay, Malik Al-Hassan Yakubu situation, where Freddie Blay of the CPP was with the NPP majority in 2005. They nominated him as first deputy speaker, and Ken Jassa, who was with the NDC, was nominated, and then Malik Al-Hassan Yakubu challenged him. But just as Kojo Oponkroma said here, some of them feel that, look, that particular consensus building and the spirit of the Constitution should be made to stand. And that's why I would want a situation where consensus should work, so that whether the NPP may cede the first deputy speaker to the NDC or NDC does that, let consensus work, so you have deputy speakers from both NPP and NDC, and not just from, one side of the house.
Yeah. If there should be any talk at all, in terms of consensus building and then ceding a position, I can only see the MPP saying that, okay, we can give you the second deputy speaker. For the first deputy speaker, it will be a difficult choice to make. And clearly, I'm looking at a situation where the first deputy speaker's position will be contested between the two parties. But maybe for the MPP, they may say that even though we warned you, you came up with your own candidate, we still want to respect the Constitution and say that you can have the second deputy speaker. That is how I see it. But for the first deputy speaker, I see the MPP going all out, and they will make sure that they grab it as well.
Yeah, so we'll see all this, and the voting still hasn't started.
Yeah.
We're waiting to see if this happens very soon. But this is the stage that being set for this. Now, there are a few more things that are interesting, of course, that the standing orders prescribe. We know that in the past there have been a spoiled ballot, a case of a spoiled ballot.
It's happened before.
Yeah, and the standing order makes a point that a member can only vote for someone who has been duly nominated and seconded. In other words, if you write the name of Elton Brobe, that's a spoiled ballot, because the two people are on the ballot, and that can happen. But I doubt very much if anybody would like to spoil the ballot there. But you can make a mistake. When fatigue sets in, you can write a name.
But if you make a mistake, and under the current circumstance, a mistake, if you have a mistake, would cost one side. But Evans, you're talking about secret voting.
Yeah.
And based on all the discussions we've had concerning national elections and how voting should be done, and the fact that if I decide to show you how I voted, you cannot take me on. And we've had that conversation prior to election 2020. I think same could hold for this. And so if they decide to show their whips how they voted, they've done no wrong. Because secret means nobody should try to see. But if I willingly say, Evans, Elton, this is how I voted, have a look.
Yeah.
I've done no wrong. You have done no wrong. I've only willingly shown you what I've done.
Except that in the national elections, nobody tells you how to fold your ballot. It's just a secret ballot, right?
Yeah.
But the standing order goes a step further. It says each ballot paper shall be folded so that the name written on it cannot be seen.
Yes, but you see.
So okay, but you point to make is a valid point. What you're saying is, what if I fold it so that you can see it?
Yes. Yeah. I am saying I want you to see.
And then what happens? Who enforces that?
Exactly. I say I want you to see.
What is the penalty for disclosing my ballot?
Yeah. So that's the point, and that's why it wouldn't come to me as a surprise if I see that the whips are.
I think that there's calm in the chamber.
Yeah.
And we are getting ready for the voting itself. Somebody a few minutes ago went to check the voting booths and then the ballot box. So This
is going to be a long process because 275 MPs.
274 if the directive vote.
Exactly, 274 MPs. They finish casting the ballots. You have to bring in the boxes, pour out the content, and then sort first. Sort all Professor Magokwe, sort all Abamabin, and then you count.
And then
you declare the results. That's a long process. That should take anything almost an hour plus.
Yeah.
When you're done with that, we're going to see, because when it gets to, I expect that when they skip the Asin North MP, there will be another round of confusion will erupt, which then will delay the process a bit more. I mean, this is going to drag a bit. I mean, definitely. But we are here. We definitely have to be here and know what the outcome is going to be for this parliament. The House now seem very calm. There's something else that must be said, though, about the calmness you're beginning to see. You know what fatigue does to you? It
makes you want to rush through things and get it done.
Yes. Fatigue can beat you to the point where you just want to get it done. The energy that they had an hour ago at 12 midnight when they started, they cannot have the same energy
for another round of fights.
for another round of fights. It's just what nature prescribes. And these are old men and women, many of them, right, who are well advanced in age, 40 plus. So I definitely expect by 3 which is like 25 minutes away, and counting, people will just want to get this done. Because tomorrow morning, well, it's morning already. They have another business to perform by being sworn in the president.
Now, let me just tell you a funny story. Just a brief one. You know, when we're covering election 2020, on the 7th of December, when I was waiting to, come on air at 5 p.m., I couldn't sleep. I was monitoring elections all over. Now, after the long night, till 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. when we left, nobody told me to sleep. Understand? Your body's tired. Body's tired. You will sleep.
You will go.
No, you still can't monitor elections when you're very, very tired.
And the anxiety and the build-up to this moment means a lot of them would not have slept for a while.
Right. Sure.
Okay, and that pressure, I'm saying, can cause people to make mistakes in the writing. Can cause people to just want to get this done and go home.
But I heard the clerk say that. He gave two conditions: right or tick. So I don't know which one will hold.
That is if they had already printed the ballot papers with the two names. Okay, so if they had been in caucus before they came to the floor, the leadership had told the clerk already that these are the two names, they would have then printed it. And then, but we don't know if that's the case yet.
Exactly, but one other thing I see. So we see two booths, and I'm sure we'll have two ballot boxes also. From the previous experience. So what's going to happen is that the NDC side will vote, the MPP side will vote. So there'll be no sorting here. Once it's done, unless somebody from the other side votes for another person, but they'll check it again. But this will not be that difficult, like having
one booth.
One ballot box where everybody puts the paper in there or the ballot paper in there, and so you're checking to be sure that.
There are two candidates for the election of Speaker: Professor Michael Eronikwe and Mr. Alban Shumami Kings for Baghdad.
Okay, we're waiting the Clerk of Parliament to begin the process of mentioning names of members of Parliament to approach and take their ballots and go cast it in the box. That should begin soon. The drama of to cast your ballot should begin soon. What is clear though is I think I see Muntaka Mubarak still standing.
Yeah.
You see him still standing on your right side,
right,
close to where you have the clerks standing. I don't know. Prayer is not in view yet. Not in view yet. But the positioning of Muntaka Mubarak is strategic. Right?
Yeah.
It's strategic.
Of course, Evans. I mean, this is very crucial. And these are human beings. These are MPs. And these are people who've been involved in elections before. And these are people who know some of the tricks that goes into elections because they themselves have been beneficiaries of some of these tricks. So trust is a big issue here. I mean, they may have been spoken to, they may have been whipped, but this is the decision time. And I know that in the run-up to this particular election, there were attempts by both sides to try to infiltrate the camps, both MPP and NDC. And I know also for a fact that that was basically one of the reasons why they decided to camp their MPs ahead of this particular program. All of them came into the chamber together in a bus, and it was all done to ensure that everybody toes the line that has been assigned them. And that's the reason why Muntaka is stationed so close to where their members will pick the ballot, either write or tick and then go and drop. Because trust is something that they don't want to play games with.
Yeah, I mean, there's an MP told me from the minority side that they actually told them that when this process begins, don't even go to the washroom. In fact, they said if you must, don't go alone. You need an escort. And he says, I asked him why. He says, well, we were warned that you can be locked up in the washroom when you attempt to go in there. And if you're locked up in the washroom, you're yelling, and nobody comes to open you. By the time you come, the voting is over. You lose by a vote.
Because once your name is mentioned and you don't respond, they'll move to another person.
Exactly. But you see where Muntaka was standing.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us watching on TV, the right side that you're talking about, that's actually where the NPP is. So you ask yourself, and I also saw Aveji, standing. I mean, he's walking to where the NDC is also. So I'm asking myself, is it any bit of, in particularly campus elections and NUCS elections and all of that, when you're going to vote, people are standing by and are whispering into your ears. It's been done in national elections.
Somebody is carrying the ballot box.
So checking, showing that it's empty.
Everybody see that there's nothing empty in there.
But that's an MP. It looks like it's disagreeing. The person disagreeing with something. They are back to some disagreements now still.
I think it's actually one ballot box here, so there'll be a bit of
one ballot box here.
So the thing is, they will mention two names. You pick, you go and vote, and you come and drop. I'm sure it will help the process to move fast.
Absolutely. The process has stalled again. I mean, a few minutes ago we thought this was going to begin.
Yeah.
Now it appears there's some more disagreement over what I don't know. I mean, because again the press gallery is beginning to fill up. It's beginning to fill up again after they cleared it. Which again, it's nobody knows what's happening. A lot of the members are pretty calm, waiting, looking up to their leaders to sort this out so they can get on with the process of voting on the matter. I mean, if you take out the Ascent North MP, this should be easy for the MPP to win. It should be. But whether it actually is, we don't know, because I'm assuming that they whipped everybody who won 137 from the MPP side to come to Parliament. I'm assuming that's the case.
They have a full house.
Now, so if that's the case, then they should win it. I mean, but having seen the former MP, have you? Has anybody seen the former MP today?
I haven't seen him, but I'm sure he would be in the house.
Yeah, but as to where he is and where he's seated, we haven't found out yet. Which is key, by the way, I think, tonight.
Yes, because at this stage, names are not attached to the seat, so anybody at all can pick any seat apart from the leadership role, which is clearly defined. So a while ago, when I went upstairs, I saw Kwadwo Ponkuma, who is in his second term in Parliament at the back seats, which is abnormal, because after your first term and your second term, you should be coming forward. Now, when I checked, they are yet to fix names to the seats because now they still remain elected members of parliament after the swearing-in ceremony. I'm sure tomorrow, when they are, later this morning, when they are done with the swearing-in of president-elect, by the time they get back to the chamber, all these corrections would have been made. Everybody will know exactly where their sitting positions will be. So, in terms of the arrangement regarding independent candidates, because the NDC MPs have already taken the right side of the speaker and then the MPP on the left side, usually an independent candidate will have to be slightly in the middle. Now, the thing with our chamber is that because it's not so big, you will find members from both sides missing in terms of the seating arrangement, because you can't find 137 on one side and 137 on the other side, because the chamber is just not big enough to have that demarcation. So even regarding the political parties and how they sit, they are messed up in a way. Just that you know that you are MPP, you know that you are NDC. So for the Formina MP, it will be difficult to at this very moment point out where he is seated. But obviously, because he decided to do business with the MPP and he is not a first timer, he will definitely be in the mix of the MPP.
Yeah.